I want to be a voice actor. And I'm getting close. Since my last video, I've applied for a whole lot of new roles, and including the one I'd already been accepted for, I've got 2 more to add to that pile. Unfortunately, though my auditions for all 3 roles have been accepted, and I've been successfully cast, I've talked to the project runners, I'm yet to voice anything. Aside from the auditions themselves. It leaves me in a bit of an awkward position that I want to make a video about the state of my voice acting journey, but I don't really have much to say, at least for the moment. Well, since all my new auditions were done via Casting Call Club, I can at least go through that process, at least after I refer to the plan? Oh hey, look at that, it's gotten even smaller this time. Yes, I'm using that same joke again, and yes, the plan has changed once again. Is it dumb to intentionally cut out what amounts to training? Potentially yes, at least in the short term. However, in the long term, I think it'll all come out in the wash, and I'll explain when I talk about what I've been doing on CCC so far. The real problem is that video editing is the most time-consuming and my least favorite part of this entire process, this being doing these projects. And doing more of it would be cutting into my very limited time that I have to do the actual project parts of the project, as well as successfully getting a video live every 2 weeks. So choosing, dubbing, editing together a bunch of dubbed lines is just not gonna happen. I'm struggling to meet deadlines as it is. Instead, I'm putting all of my voice acting energy into just that. Voice acting. That does, however, come with its own catch. Making a callback to the original plan, the plan from Voice Acting Part 1, not Voice Acting Part 2, there's this big blank question mark, which is to say, once you get into the apply for roles, get roles, apply for more roles cycle, there's not much to do. Unless this is a case of I know so little about voice acting I can't even conceive of what I have no knowledge about type situation. I think I need a definitive end goal. It's just hard to figure out what that should be. How high do I aim? Get an official voice acting role. That'd be a high bar, but define official. I want to get a paid voice acting role in a commercially released product. That's more concrete, but what level of commercial release? Technically, one of my free roles, if and when the project is completed, would be a commercially released product. Well, I guess as I continue to apply and get accepted for roles, building my portfolio of work, I can ponder how far I want to go with this goal. Speaking of applying and getting accepted for roles, let's get on with my experience with Casting Call Club. In all, I've applied for 11 roles across 6 projects, and had 2 of those roles accepted. While I won't go into those projects until my part is released, not that I've signed an NDA or anything, I just don't want to pre-announce anything whilst project runners haven't released trailers yet, I'll happily go through the process of applying for voice work via Casting Call Club. First off, filtering by voice acting roles. I mentioned it last time, but CCC also shows roles for editors, singers, artists, and so on. Then it's just a job of scrolling through all the different available jobs and picking which one sounds good. It's really fascinating seeing what communities exist and are looking for roles for their fan projects. I, for example, haven't seen any machinima-based stuff for a long time, but there's a lot of machinima-based roles that are available. Sims-based story projects are another that there are a lot of roles that I never even knew existed. Of course, there are narrator jobs, voiceovers for animations, not to mention fan dubs. Oh, as well as unofficial voiceovers for visual novels too. Tons of them. Projects list the roles that are available. Sometimes it'll just be one, but often projects will be accepting auditions for many different roles as they attempt to fill out an entire cast of characters. That's why my role count is higher than my project count, because for several projects I would apply for a couple of different roles. Though my overall role count isn't particularly high, I did try to stretch myself. Here are a few examples of submissions that I've done for projects that I did not get the parts for.
I'm telling you, it was crazy. Drone shot him like 6 times, he didn't even flinch.
I know how this looks, but you have no idea how long I've been here. You don't know what this place does to a person.
Let us get back to base. More of Apocalypse's acolytes will be here soon. Just forget about all those little distractions that keep you from working at your full potential. Those passions and dreams, let them die for a time. Only for a time.
That's like your whole thing. You're the guy who plays video games in the bathroom while everyone else works. Subject does not appear ready for integration. Will you be partaking in festivities?
Alright, so now that you've found the project that you think is interesting, now you check out the roles. Generally speaking, the roles will have some example lines, potentially some direction. If there's an accent, it'll normally be listed. Pitch and voice type are also regularly supplied. Sometimes, more than direction, the user that creates the project will also supply a reference. If they're nice, they'll link to something, like a clip on YouTube of a voice that they like, or they'll just name a character from a show. Finally, usually for animation projects, an image will be attached to the character, which I find really helps guide what direction the voice will take. Now, below the role, if people have already applied, you can see the other people's auditions, and if you apply, other people will be able to see yours as well. You can also upvote auditions, even if you're not the one accepting the roles. If you don't want people other than the project runner to view your audition, you're going to have to get a paid account, which will unlock a host of other features. Not that I know, I use the free version. Now, pro tip. I think it's very useful to check out other people's auditions, especially if the project runner has left a comment on their audition. That will help you narrow down the type of voice that the project runner is looking for. If you're the first person applying for a role, don't be too concerned. You can submit multiple auditions for the same role. I never personally did that, but for the auditions that I did submit, I always did a minimum of 2 takes, sometimes 3 if the test lines were short. Speaking of which, the auditions. Now, the site doesn't have its own recording feature, you'll just have to record using your own software. I use old, faithful Audacity. I didn't do as much sound engineering as I do on my video audio though, normally just a general noise reduction and fixing any clips on the P and S sounds. I saw some roles request that you don't alter your audio though, so make sure you follow the requests of the project runner. You don't want to deceive them. With the audio file in hand, I saved mine as MP3 files, you can simply upload your audition with a comment. My standard comment consisted of 1. How many takes did I do? 2. My voice acting email, and 3. My Discord. And sometimes a few other comments. For example, for an audition where I had to scream, I warned any listeners that there may be a jump in volume. Now, Discord links were quite common as these projects, once they got started, moved onto Discord. Both of my CCC roles had their own Discord channels, where things were organized, where the actors, editors, and directors can intermingle, and voice calls where I saw the director running lines with the various talent. Obviously, each Discord and project is going to have a different vibe. Of my 2 CCC projects, one was a bit more work-oriented, with a chat for introducing yourself, but the rest of it focused on project delivery. The other one was more social and chatty, sharing photos of pets, chatting about other stuff like the games people were playing, and some people memeing it up. I'm actually fairly introverted, so while I popped into the chat once to introduce myself, I felt a little out of place, especially when it seemed as though I was the only Australian in a sea of Americans, which meant as they were chilling in the afternoon, I was getting ready to work for the day. Also, many of them were quite young, with a few still in school, at least from what I gathered as they complained about school and homework. I am older than that, so I wasn't ready to play the part of the old man saying, "Oh yes, I remember school." Either way though, everyone has been nice, though I suppose we'll see if any dramas arise during the course of the projects. And until the projects get well and truly underway, there's really not much else to say about them. So, once again, a voice acting video where the plan gets smaller. Goal-wise, while I'm thinking about my end goal, I'll do another buy the next video goal and apply for another 10 roles. There's so many to choose from, though if I continue to get accepted, I shouldn't pile my plate too high. The worst case scenario would be all these projects requiring me at the same time, and then having to get all the recordings done at the same time. I've set the bar higher on the auditions front mainly because, seeing that I tore out a large chunk of the goal that I was previously intending to do, I've got a smidgen more theoretical time on my hands. So yeah, I suppose that's that. I hope you found some use in my very informal casting call club guide. I'll once again leave a link in the description. Are any of you interested in voice acting? Do any of you do voice acting? What have your experiences been applying for roles? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to stay up to date with this project or any of my other ones. It'd be great if you applied for some roles as well. Maybe we'll end up on the same project together. Then it will truly become we attempt new things, not I attempt new things. Very subtle. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a fruitful day.